Hello everybody, this is my welcome back to this TV one, and it is obviously Boxing Day, St. Stephen's Day, whatever you want to call it. I'm going back here on another review. This time it is NXT Takeover, sorry, not our Revelation. This is 2 weeks after our Revelation. This is for the week of 25th of December 2014. It's Christmas Day special, and it is a highlights reveal type show. This time we're getting into. The night begins when we get introduced to Renee Young and Corey Graves as they show us the empty ring, come inside, and tell us that we are going to look back at the best moments of 2014 in NXT. We get to see how all the newcomers came in and the people who made it to the main roster, like Bo Dallas, Rusev, the likes of Paige, all of the above, people who make such an impact on the main roster now that they've become commonplace on the main roster, and how much NXT has done over the past year. It's been probably the one of, or not the biggest, well, probably is the biggest year for NXT ever. We move in and talk about one of the big feuds, which is obviously the Adrian Neville and Sami Zayn feud, and how Adrian Neville won the championship against Bo Dallas and went on to defend it so much, and he goes on to go over to back his home in Newcastle, England, where he meets his mum again, and we get a little bit of story of how he gets to his place, and Sami Zayn coming over, defeating him, winning the NXT championship, all the emotional moments in the recap, in our little match recap of our Evolution, that match, and then of course the moment when Kevin Owens attacks Sami Zayn after he wins his championship after the match. So we get one of those match recaps. We move back and we talk about the likes of all the different feuds that went on. Well, not all the different feuds, all the different new wrestlers who've come up, who've debuted in NXT. The likes of Finn Balor, Hideo Itami, Baron Corbin, Bull Dempsey, and obviously the sort of people that came in as well as these. So the Lucha Dragons and the Vaudevillains match at our Evolution is shown. We see how the two cool video packages, both for the Vaudevillains and for the Lucha Dragons, and the Lucha Dragons defending the championship and winning against the Vaudevillains, and how, the Vaudevillains and the Lucha Dragons, they're going to get a match again soon, so excited to see if that match even trumps this match that we got at our Revolution. It might not, but, I'm excited to see these two face again. That's one match confirmed. And for next week, we hear is Hideo Itami and Finn Balor rematching against the Ascension from that match we got at our Revolution. So this NXT show is very much an our Revolution look back and predictions for future NXT, the next NXT next week, which is going to be pretty exciting. Yeah, so we also see the people who come to the main roster, like Paige, Rusev, who won the United States Championship against Sheamus and still undefeated, Bo Dallas, who is that cool heel character who's trying to act as a face but he's a heel, and wants to clap people in the head for winning when he wins all his matches and celebrates and confronts the loser. Who else was talking about? The likes of Paige, who won the Divas Championship on 2 occasions already, and was the first ever NXT Women's Champion. Who else? There's a few others. Anyway, that's the ones I can name off my head. A lot of the others made a big splash. Sorry. Tyson Kidd, of course, who used to be on the main roster, and there he is back again. So we get those 2 match recaps. Then we get to see an exclusive moment of Curtis Axel, who, if you don't know, is in W2K15. I was just playing at him yesterday, and here he is on NXT. Pretty excited to see him here. He confronts William Regal and says that he wants to get on the show, join the wagon of our Evolution. Sorry, the wagon of NXT, which is starting to take off with the main roster people who are getting a little jealous, and there could be a big clash between these two brands. and Curtis Axel wants a piece of that meat. He came from the main roster, and so this is one of the ways where they're both crossing over. We got two people from NXT going over to the main roster, people from the main roster going over to NXT. So Curtis Axel could be making his entrance pretty soon and his debut. And William Regal was just like thinking about it and said there wasn't the right time to talk to him. But here, Curtis Axel, you can't really give up that sort of opportunity to have that guy. The technical skill and ring ability and the sort of ring lineage that he has. He's the second coming of Mr. Perfect, the late great Mr. Perfect, Curtis Axel. So yeah, see what he does. See what WWE plans to do with him at NXT. Next one we have another video package, Bayley, who's going to come back, and it's just like teasing her comeback after that knee injury she received. So if you kind of makes a sort of point about Triple H and how she's sort of like coming back and better than ever, taking over the Divas locker room and taking down all the Divas and becoming the real champion of the women's champ world in NXT. And she definitely does have the skills and the go ahead to do that sort of thing. So definitely a comeback that we're all awaiting. So yeah, after that we get our match on NXT, and the main event. It's only one match on the show, and it was this NXT Women's Rematch Championship match. Kind of strange to have it on just the one match on the show, but anyway, we have Charlotte, the NXT Women's Champion, alongside Ric Flair, which is good to have. So I guess it is kind of worth it to see Ric Flair there come back. He's definitely showing his age, but it's brilliant to see him there anyway. Who else? We see Sasha Banks alongside Becky Lynch at the ring. Becky Lynch not doing anything, but Sasha Banks being just as cocky as ever, and they're talking about her debut on Madison Square Garden and how she felt so confident, and she's completely confident here. Just as confident as Ric Flair would be when he fights. But let's get into the match. So it began pretty well. It was a very, very short match. It's only like 5-6 minutes long, but a lot of holds, I would say. It wasn't too interesting, but it didn't really feature any interruptions. But we see Ric Flair and Becky Lynch now and again just cheering on the sides. Sasha Banks possibly reversing a few other moves, and then we see the comeback of Charlotte in the clotheslines and beautiful leg lock, superplex from Charlotte, I think. Then she gets the figure 4 leg lock and wins the match at about 6 or 7 minutes. 5, 6, 7 minutes. I don't know the time exactly, but I wasn't too focused on this match. Anyway, Charlotte defends it. She officially's got ridden of Sasha Banks for now, I think. She's already got a rematch. Remember, she's on Revolution fighting against Sasha Banks, so she's already had the rematch clause here. She's got done and dusted. Charlotte can now move on to fight someone else. Really exciting to see that. There's so many other people she can fight. She can even have a match, obviously, on the main roster, as she's made that sort of jump up and leap up there. So that's one place you can go. Yeah, that's great for her on Charlotte's behalf as the NXT champion. A lot of things can happen. I mean, you can see her sort of following the shadows Paige's leap to fame and how she's just become a household name. We see a little ad. I saw an ad for Thursday night's SmackDown, which I'm just going to say for a minute. Well, it's kind of moving to Thursday nights. Is that kind of weird because NXT is on Thursday nights? I don't know how that's going to work out on the network, since that starts at 8 o'clock when they clash. I don't know, but NXT is on also on Thursday nights. Maybe they move that to Wednesday nights. And SmackDown, I don't know what the big deal is with that. Is it because they want to... I know TNA wrestling moved to Wednesdays, so I guess they don't want that through Friday crowd where the ratings go down because not much people are watching on that Friday night slot, late night Friday night where people are out, they're not watching TV anyway. Like, a lot of the crowd is gone, but SmackDown, you're not doing anything with SmackDown WWE at all over the past couple of years. So if they're going to try and make a big change, they better do it now, because there's no point just moving to Thursdays and just leaving it like that. How about you put change in the company by making SmackDown something special, maybe a live event, make it shorter, and make Raw obviously shorter as well, and have a bit of a segment on NXT, where they can have NXT wrestlers fight up on SmackDown or whatever. I mean, I've heard about this rumors of this happening on Raw with NXT wrestlers, and that could be a good thing. I mean, they have plenty of time on the show to do that, and don't fill it up with crappy segments or talking. More wrestling would seem like a good option, since NXT does that. Not a lot of talking, but a lot of wrestling, which works perfectly and is so much more interesting than those goofy old segments with the same old goofy segments every single week on Raw. And Raw is facing this big problem of rating dips during the 3 hours that the show is on. So of course that's a good option they can take down the line, is to shorten that, and SmackDown sort of follow in the leaps of Raw and maybe have its own individual characteristics to identify it from Raw, because you can, at the moment you cannot identify the two differently from each other, but you can do that in the future. Anyway, that's enough of me ranting about that. I mean, that's something I can talk about in another video or whatever in my next podcast. That would be a good topic to talk about WWE in the near future, in the next year. But now, what else do I want to talk about? Oh yeah, Corey Graves making his way to NXT, and he's doing pretty well as the commentator. I mean, they've given this a special spot alongside Renee Young, so I'm excited to see him in the future on NXT. I think that's it for me, guys, for NXT. Why did I say take over there? It's Orvillation. Anyway, that's it for me from this NXT review for the 25th December Christmas special of NXT. It was pretty good. I mean, there's no matches on it, but there's one match which is not great, but we see Charlotte defend the title, and that's all that really matters in the eyes of me. Of course, Hideo and Tommy and Finn Balor get their little segment, and their match will be up on next week. So excited to see next week's match. We'll get back to our normal NXT reviews. So excited to see you next week, and see you guys next time.